Okay, we're back. Queenie's had time to think about one kind of hard choice financially that she had to make that paid off later. Don't leave us hanging. What do you reckon is an example?
Okay, so I would say leaving my job to pursue this business full-time. So I'm a full-time content creator now, but it didn't always start like this. This was just a side hustle. I would work on the weekends, after work, in my full-time job. I actually started during the COVID period because I've always wanted to make content, but I felt like at that time when we were all working from home, we couldn't go out and do anything. I was like, I have no excuse anymore to keep putting this off. So that's the reason why I started it. I was just doing it on the side, and then it kind of got to this point. I wasn't able to replace my salary fully with my side hustle, but it was at a point where I was making consistently a few thousand each month, and I had quite a bit of money saved. And I was like, might as well do it, might as well give it a go.
Yeah.
And so I left my job, which was really hard at the time because I was 23. I was earning really good money. I was on $120,000 a year plus super. And
any jobs going there?
I know, right? Yeah, it was a really great company. Loved the vibe. It was a great startup, like going places as well. So it kind of felt like risky, doing that. But I knew that if I didn't do it, then I would always be wondering. And it was difficult for the first few months because going from being able to save quite a bit of my salary to basically not being able to using some of my savings to just live, and because I wasn't earning much from my content business, it took a few months,
And we're here now, and you've lived to tell the day. But any regrets?
Any regrets? I would say it sounds silly, but not dreaming bigger, or not allowing myself to kind of like think about different possibilities. Because I think at the time when you're doing your things, like you feel like everything's impossible, and you think that everything that is to be done is for somebody that isn't you, if that makes sense. Like, only people like that do things like that. It couldn't be for me. And I think once you sort of get out of that mindset, like stop those limiting beliefs, the self-sabotage, and just allow yourself to dream like you did when you were a little kid, like you can do things as well. And if somebody else is out there doing what you want to be doing, then you know that it's possible. It absolutely is possible.
Far out. In this kind of therapy session for Glen, I won't indulge everyone, but, I did a whole heap of work last year on schema therapy. And basically you sit down with a psychologist and you go through kind of the top schemes that you operate in. And the top one for me was like an insufficient impulse control type thing. And then the next one, I think, was failure. And as you said that as a little kid dreaming, I always thought I would like to be this. And then instantly, you're not smart enough.
Yeah.
So for me, dreaming as a kid, like I always wanted to be in radio or be a radio host and all that. And I'm like, oh, no, I'll never get those opportunities. Or I'd like to learn to fly a plane. Oh, no, not smart enough. And here I am running a radio show basically. But yeah, I think, I don't know why I said all that, but you're just speaking to me, I think, and reflecting. But it's not easy. It's worth it.
Exactly.
I think that's
and the
really
journey
good
is
thing
fun too, even if it doesn't happen straight away, it's like fun to be on that journey.
Yeah, it's funny. You know how they go like it's the journey? My inherent nature is I'm not a journey person. I'm a destination person. I'm like, I don't care. Drive fast, not look at the scenery. Let's get there. Where other people will drive, oh, this is a beautiful drive. Don't we just love the journey? So I've had to learn to kind of lean into the journey. Let's talk a little bit about investing. What does your own personal investing strategy look like today? Because you talk a lot about investing in the book, and it was good that you've laid down steps for people to, get started. Okay, well, maybe get a little emergency fund first. And then, so it's quite good in that regard. But what does it look like for you?
I wish I could say that I started perfectly and like I've just stuck to the same strategy and, you know, it's always been like that, but it wasn't. It was a bit of a bumpy road, to be honest. I think when I first started investing, I had this very simple strategy, which was just go with a robo-advisor. And for people who don't know what that is, it's basically a broker that kind of asks you a series of questions and then it puts you into an investment fund based on
your risk tolerance and goals.
Yeah, exactly. And I had one of those and it was working. I was just depositing extra money that I had into this fund and it would just invest for me.
So why isn't that, when you said it didn't get started perfectly, what's wrong with that?
It was good.
Yeah.
But then I kind of got overconfident and
Right.
I was like, well, these returns are okay, but they just track the market.
Yeah.
I want to beat the market.
Right.
So that's when I started to research Warren Buffett and I was looking at all these YouTube videos and shareholder reports and company reports and researching the CEOs and it just got real complicated.
Yeah.
Glenn, it got really complicated. And then Pablo and I, we had this simple system that was working. And then suddenly we were like, now we have to pick individual stocks. We have to be like value investors. And we made a huge investing mistake, which was we basically stopped investing for a few months because we would just overcomplicated everything.
Yeah, you're trying to pick winners and analysis paralysis and, we'll wait a day and then a day becomes a week and then, no, it will come down low, yeah.
And then it just keeps on rising and then you're like, damn it, now I'm never going to be able to invest. And I think what we realized is by keeping it simple is actually the best strategy. So now we've scaled it back down. We are automatically investing just 20% of our pay each month automatically into some ETFs. If we find any cool opportunities in stocks or companies we want to buy, bit of crypto as well, dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. If we find any cool opportunities, we buy them. But we're not just kind of waiting on the sidelines until the world crashes and then we, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. Do you have any hard and fast rules of thumb or guides in your life if an opportunity came your way that looked okay?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have our emergency fund, which I think is the most important point. That is basically a buffer just in case anything goes wrong. We have some money saved. So if there are any cool opportunities, definitely happy to invest in them. I mean, we're already working on a side business, which is like
we'll talk about that
tool.
soon. Yeah.
So I feel like it's good to have a bit of money to kind of experiment and to really indulge those other, we all have a side to ourselves that just wants to keep it simple, things to automate, but then we might have a side that's creative.
So on that, if you do have cash or opportunity fund or whatever to the side and something does come along, do you have some type of criteria to stop you getting flushed or some metric to run it through or anything like that?
Ooh, I would say I am a bit of although I do think it's good to take risk. I'm not like a all or nothing kind of person. So I do
It's wrecked me.
Oh no.
But that's why I say this because I've got frameworks in place now to protect myself.
That's really good. I would say being a finance creator helps because if I would be ashamed to tell my community what I've done, then that's probably not a good sign. So I like to think about what would the smartest version of myself do in this situation. So when I was starting my budgeting tool, my SaaS product, I instead of just okay, I'm going to set aside $1 million to go all in and get all these investors and then bang, we're going to spend all the money. And, if I wouldn't tell my community that's the plan, that's what I'm doing, then probably not a good idea if I wouldn't tell everyone.
Yeah, that's good.
But so I scaled it back and I was like, okay, I'm going to set aside $20,000 and that's just going to be a start. I'm going to spend the money, and if I see traction, then I'm happy to invest a bit more. But if I don't see traction, if it's not working, then we'll have to cut it right there. So I think little bits at a time and what I'm comfortable telling people about.
Yeah, that's good because at least it's that lens. Could I do an Instagram story telling people about the last investment? I was like, well, no, because it was a bit dodgy and
exactly.
I wasn't proud that I invested in munitions or cigarettes or whatever the thing is that doesn't line up with you. That's a good thing.
Exactly. What's your framework?
So for my framework is Number one, just because it comes across my desk doesn't mean I jump.
Yeah.
Like, did I wake up this morning wanting to invest in a farm that did this or whatever? So, but if it does come across my desk and it piques my interest, so I've got a couple of little, you call them startup companies that I've put money into. In terms of financial guardrail, I probably wouldn't put more than 10% of my equity portfolio into individual stocks or speckies or anything like that. So I've got a hard financial thing, because the problem is if someone, I'll use an example. If someone's listening and they've got $20,000 saved in cash above their emergency fund, and they get the phone call, hey, it's Glen here. I've got a really good opportunity for you. We're doing this startup. We're looking for some investors. It's going to the moon. Awesome. So if I put that $20,000 in there, and that's all I had, number one, I'm violating every type of diversification rule basically on the planet, I think. There's a carve-out, and ask me the carve-out. I'll just make a note. Now, if that $20,000, if you invested that $20,000, number one, it's going to be highly illiquid. You might not see the money 3 to 5 years or ever, even if it's worth something. In 3 to 5 years or 8 years, they say, hey, thanks for the $20,000 3 years ago or 4 years ago. It's now worth $80,000. Oh, that's awesome. But over the scheme of your life, that gain of $60,000 is not going to hugely change your life. Okay? But the problem is there is a higher chance of a downside risk of you not seeing that money ever and getting flushed. And that actually means that losing that $20,000 for you is probably worse for your financial situation than the chance of it getting to $80,000. So if you use the 10% specky opportunity rule, even if you had $20,000, sure, throw 10% in it, knock yourself out. If it doubles, awesome. I'll take an extra $2,000 out, get on with my life. I love 100% return. But if it goes to nothing and you get flushed, you're not flushing your whole $20,000 portfolio or cash. You're only flushing $2,000. So
I love it.
I know you didn't want a podcast, but
no, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, it makes sense.
Now the carve out is, Warren Buffett basically violates every diversification rule and every rule because he is Warren Buffett. No one is like him. He even basically says, hey, when I die or whatever, put this money in an index fund.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, and even in your book, you mentioned that the example of the hedge fund managers versus the index, and the index was better. So I take risks, don't get me wrong, but I'm not putting everything in the one thing because the upside the upside's good, but it's not as good, or it's not as bad as the downside, or whatever you mean. So
exactly. No, it's so true. It's so true.
Hey, it's Glen here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.